Hi there, my name is Yuri Wuensch.
Fuck you.
Oh man, already? I'm sitting here with Derrick May.
you.
Derrick May has just played a stellar set here in Edmonton.
We're non-politically correct tonight. We're going to say things like "fuck you" and all kinds of stuff.
So much hostility.
I can't help it, but it's a wonderful day.
Yeah? Why?
It's a good day to be hostile.
So if I'm not mistaken, it's the first time you played in Calgary last night, Edmonton just this past night.
Alberta.
First time in Alberta, period.
That's right. She's a good friend of mine, but first time I met her.
Or are you thinking like some blues songs or?
No, honestly, I've been wanting to come here for ages. I don't know why this part of the country has evaded me. I don't quite know why. It was fun, and I'm looking forward to coming back.
Oh, we'd love to have you back. I mean, does it still amaze you, with such a long career, does it still amaze you the places you haven't played?
Yes, and it's always exciting to come to places like this and meet people. And I don't feel that sort of, that I'm being patronized or I'm condescending to people where when I get here, I'm not excited. I think it's genuine for me. I'm really happy to be here, man. I mean, okay, yeah, Calgary is it's not a small city, it's 1 million people, and Edmonton is, a bit west of whatever, but people in Montreal may think what they want about these places, but I've had a great time. I tried to get my friends from Montreal to come, and they were like, "What? Are you joking?" For them, this is like not happening. But I had a great time here. I really did, and I met some good people.
Excellent. Well, I understand in Calgary last night you, in fact, got in late.
I did, man. I had a nightmare with the customs. Fuck the customs. I'm sorry. Fuck y'all. Anyway.
But you played.
I hope you see it, you customs assholes.
But you played at the club last night, but then you ended up attending a house party later, as I understand.
That's right. My name is Kevin Saunderson, Customs. Okay.
Thinking.
No, I went to the house party and had a good time, just relaxing.
Yeah.
I didn't play any records. I just chilled out. It was nice.
Yeah. Do you manage to do that kind of thing often, or?
No, I never do it. Ever. Never. So for me, it was really. I think the people were waiting for me, and they knew it was an issue. So I felt an obligation to go and hang out for a minute, and just say hello and say thank you.
So even after all these years, still a tremendous sense of gratitude.
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't look at this any other way. Look, it's incredible what I do, and I'm able to go around the world and do this. This is unbelievable. I was talking to Jeff Mills the other day. It's just unbelievable what we do, and that people appreciate it and respect us. And I don't know how to explain it. It's just I can laugh and joke with you about certain things, but the reality is that it's incredible that we get the kind of respect we receive, and we travel the world like we do, and we do the things we do. It's unbelievable. Really.
Could you have ever conceived of that when you first started out in the 80s? No.
Definitely not. I don't think that it was ever a moment in time where we thought this music would be appreciated like this. We fought so hard, we got laughed at, and then for it to end up at this point where I'm sitting here with you today, and tomorrow I could be wherever I'm going, and people give the same kind of adulation and respect. It's incredible.
If I'm not mistaken, just as of December 2013, Detroit's bankruptcy is now official. Is it not?
Yeah.
And you still live you've moved back to Detroit. Is that correct?
I never left. What I did is that I did spend some time. I spent a couple of years, well, more than a couple of years. I lived in Tokyo, Geneva, Amsterdam, London, Paris, and a few other places. But I always maintained and kept my residence in the city. No matter, even if I was gone for a couple of years, I kept my residence. I kept my building. I kept my office.
Was that always a really easy decision to make?
It was always easy. I was never going to give it up. Detroit is my home.
With the bankruptcy now being completely official as of December, I think they made the announcement, or they declared that they were filing for bankruptcy about 2 years ago. Can you talk about perhaps your reactions just as of this past December, and maybe from 2 years ago as well, when the bankruptcy file occurred?
For local Detroiters, we don't really feel it. It's being more of a reality now for pensioners. It's really dangerous for them right now. There's been lots of discussions to cut pension, to liquidate certain benefits, to service to city workers. But all my life, man, I've seen the city sort of fall apart piece by piece. Uh, we've been a part of police corruption. We've seen our mayors go to prison. We've seen people, our city officials one after another get indicted for different things. Corporate, get caught up in scandals. Detroit is an interesting place. It's a medley of comical eras of of stupid ass criminals that are beyond stupid. This is openly just dumb crimes that they get caught immediately at, and I don't quite understand how it's possible that it continues to happen and people continue to do these things, because it's such a great fiber of people that live there, that want to do good things, that want to see the city and become something great. They're so proud of Detroit, the locals, and then we have our city officials that are just horrible. I don't get it. I don't understand it. After all these years, and it continues. We finally got a decent mayor, but the government controls the city now. So
Yeah, it's a comptroller, isn't it?
yeah. So he's not doing anything. All he's doing is controlling the garbage trucks. What time they pick up the garbage, and what time the bakeries can open.
I know you've spoken a lot about how the creative class is still vastly important in Detroit, and maybe the
Super.
salvation of Detroit.
Yeah.
What can you expand on that when you talk about the creative class and who you mean when you talk about that?
There was an exodus about 7 or 8 years ago, and ironically, Richie Houghton, who didn't by any means try to cause an exodus of creative talent from the city. When he moved to Berlin, it was as if there was all his disciples and all his wannabe disciples just sort of left. Richie didn't send out a magic, potion to get people to leave. They just left. But from that, there was a real sense of emptiness that was different than your local sort of corporate, community kind of leaving emptiness. It was a creative emptiness. It was very different. The feeling was not cool. But in the last 3 or 4 years, it's been people coming from Australia, from Germany of all places, from all over the planet, from different parts of America, from Denver, from everywhere. And they've sort of filled the void. And Detroit has become a really interesting sort of, there's a new creative class that seems to be filling the void. I don't know quite what's going to happen with it, but right now it's a very interesting time to be there. It's really exciting, man. I see advertising agencies moving back into the city. It's interesting.
Well, what do you attribute? Certainly the exodus is kind of through no fault of his own through Richie Houghton. What do you attribute people coming back to Detroit to? Was there like a call put out that Detroit needed help and people recognized it?
I think the media has really sent this sort of message that the city was falling down and it was cheap and it was this opportunity to buy something cheap. But you have to come to Detroit with the idea that you're more or less an abolitionist. You're coming with almost like you're a frontiersman. If you're gonna live in Detroit, man, you honestly, you really better be prepared to live in Detroit. You're not just gonna buy that house for $10,000, and get yourself a dog and build a white picket fence. You have to protect your land. There's no schools. McDonald's and Burger Kings are even gone. Post offices are closing. We went from 2 million people to 1 million people to 600,000 people right now. It takes 25 minutes to get police to come see you. If you could say, hey man, I got a guy outside my door with a knife, he's trying to break into my house. 25 minutes. It's you and him, man. So right now the shit is real. If you want to come to Detroit, it's a whole nother mentality. So I think there's this romance and there's also this sort of dream of cheapness. But when people get there, they really have to decide if they really can deal with this. It's a whole nother thing.
So from your experience, have there been a lot of people who have come that are in over their heads?
And bailed.
Yeah, okay.
We had a guy come from Australia. I hate this story. And this is not I hate to even say it. A guy came from Australia a couple of years ago, and he had an open heart, open mind. He was really trying to help people. People killed him. He just fucking cut his head off and killed him. But then there's been other guys that come into the city and other people, and they're really making things happen. But they're not coming in naive and stupid like that. You want to help, you want to make something happen, okay. But don't come in here believing that you can leave your door open in the middle of the night, and help Joe the crackhead. There's a certain amount of common sense involved with this.
Well, I'm going to ask you a two-part question. Can you reflect on the conditions for the creative class in Detroit now and what they were like when you were starting out in the 80s with Juan and Kevin?
Wow, that's a great question. We were young. We were still very much, I would say, romantic about the idea of the world. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what the world offered. We didn't understand it. We thought that the world was Chicago and New York. We were 21, 22 years old. I'm 50 years old now. And edit. So, I'm 50 years old now. So my perception of what was the beginning, what was the magical days of the start of it were very different than what I see now. I didn't know what to expect. Kevin and Juan, we had no idea. We didn't know what was ahead of us. I don't know if that's answering your question.
Well, let me ask you, as young men, though, did you recognize at the time, or did you have enough wisdom or experience to recognize that Detroit was in decline, even at that time?
We hated Detroit.
Okay.
We always hated it. We've always hated Detroit. Do not believe for 1 minute that we do not. We love the city, but we hate it. It's like a woman that, she does everything right, but she does everything wrong. You fucking hate her, but you fucking love her. All you fellas know about that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course you do.
Okay, well, now we'll go a step further. So the conditions for the creative class now in the 80s and perhaps even dating back to Motown.
Wow. Well, first of all, there was no creative class in my mind at that point. I think Berry Gordy sort of destroyed it. He sort of, I cannot say exactly because I was a kid. But to me, it looks like his idea of the creative class was, more like an industry mentality. Get the people in the studio, drill them, work them, drill them, work them. Get lots of songs out of people and make a lot of money and put them on the road and make more money. Our thing was very different. We resisted the whole record company, the whole corporate idea, the whole structure. We sort of went against it. We didn't feel as if it was for us. We didn't feel as if they were ever going to support us. Young black guys making this music. Most people don't even know that techno music comes from Detroit. And 99% of the world doesn't know that black people invented techno music. They think some white boys from Germany that invented this shit. So the fight, the resistance, the creative sort of process that we went through was very different. We avoided the structure, the record company, the sort of idealism of becoming a pop star. We sort of went against it, and we sort of formulated all these people that were into the same idea, and we just sort of kept it going.
Well, why doesn't techno have more? Was it just because you did not work with a label, and that's why techno doesn't have a bigger audience amongst black people?
I think so. We had a great audience in Detroit. We did really well. There was a time when we were selling 50,000 records every 4 or 5 weeks. We'd pack a truck full of records, a lorry full of records, and drive to Chicago and New York and sell these records, and COD, and we were done. And I think that at some point when it went to Europe, and it became really a business, we were kind of like left out, in a sense, because we were there, we were respected, we were called and considered the creators, but we weren't part of this thing that became the business. We were like on the perimeter of it.
Well, how is that though? If you were so intrinsic to its beginnings,
there's a saying in the Bible. I'm not so religious, but God created man in his own image. Record companies, in my mind, created the pop star within their own image. Their image was not a couple black guys from Detroit. So I think they were interested in us having us in the studio to produce, to take the music and to create our thing on other people's music. They were willing to pay us for that very well, but they were never willing to give us the opportunity to be pop stars. But Kevin Saunders, you motherfucker! No, you're all right. Don't worry, dog. Actually, that's good. I like that shit. Motherfucker, kick his ass! Kick his fucking ass!
I will not sleep tonight.
Fuck you!
It actually startled me too.
And cut. Kevin Saunderson, he had Good Life. He had an Inner City, Good Life and Big Fun. He sold something like, I think altogether 7 million records. So there was an opportunity to be pop stars if you're willing to play the game.
But in saying so, you don't feel like Kevin compromised anything from the perspective that he did manage to sell 7 million albums?
Well, Kevin did what he had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I never would have done that.
Why not?
I'm not made like that. I never wanted to be a pop star. I'm happy with being on the perimeter of all that, watching it. I enjoy my life as it is. I don't have to be the guy with all the money. I don't have to be the guy with the biggest house. I do have to be the guy with the fastest car, but that's it.
What's your rod?
R8, RS6. Oh, these are Audis. Audi R8, Audi RS6.
Okay.
A couple BMWs, blah blah blah. That's my shit. I love a car. Give me a fast car, I'm happy.
Right on. And are you still heavily involved in movement, or?
I still own the name for another 2 years, but the guys that are doing it is Paxahau. They do a very good job of running the festival in Detroit.
So, with that said, then, are you mostly focused just on touring, or are you back in the studio?
Transmat is my record label,
Yeah.
and I'm really trying right now to establish new artists. But it's a really interesting time because what do you do with music these days when the whole download thing has become 300 and 400 songs a week available? It's a very interesting time. The whole music industry is kind of absorbed. It's kind of like a black hole. It's kind of absorbing itself, and it's not reproducing anything creative. And we have Pandora and all these new ways people listen to music. And I believe it's great, it's convenient, but it's not paying the artist properly. So it's a weird time right now in the music industry. But I am not giving up on it by any means. Just trying to find a way to make it work for everybody.
So Transmat's a label in the waiting room.
Transmat's my record label. It's always been my record label, and it's going to continue to be.
So do you have any releases scheduled for this year?
I do. We have Kareem Saouri. That's his name, his family name, and he's being released in about 6 weeks. We have a new Greg Gao. He's from Toronto, of all places. And we have possibly a new Derrick May record. Rhythm is Rhythm.
Okay.
I'm working on that, so we'll see.
That's exciting.
Maybe not. We'll see.
All right, Derrick May. Thank you very much, sir.
What a serious guy. It's like a serious interview.
I'm nervous. This is your big interview. I want to do a good job.
You fucking know what you're doing, man. No, Nick, you know what? He asked great questions, better questions than anybody I've been asked in a long time.
Awesome. Thanks.
No, I'm serious. No one comes across asking me those kind of questions. I get condescending bullshit questions that are just like script, crap.
Cool. I'm glad to hear it. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Fuck you!
Pleasure to meet you.
All right.
Fuck you, Derrick May.
Fuck you, motherfucker! That was cool. I enjoyed that.